Okay, let's talk about something we all have to deal with, but let's be honest, most of us dread it, the meeting. We're going to break down how you can take that thing you hate on your calendar and turn it into a powerhouse tool that actually gets stuff done. We're going from absolute chaos to clarity. Does this just hit a little too close to home? This is a real post from a real leader on a forum, and man, it just perfectly captures that feeling, right? When a meeting goes completely off the rails and you just sit there watching the clock, feeling your time get sucked into a black hole. We've all been in that meeting. You know, the difference between a bad meeting and a good one, it's night and day. On one side, you've got the bad meeting. It's a tangled mess that just drains your energy and makes you wonder, why am I even here? But a good meeting, oh, it's the total opposite. It's sharp, it's efficient, and you walk out with actual decisions. Getting from that chaotic knot to structured progress, well, that doesn't happen by accident. Yeah, that chaos, that feeling of frustration, it's not just bad luck. It is a direct result of not having a plan. So first, let's really dig in and diagnose this meeting nightmare to figure out why so many of them just completely fall apart. So here's our game plan. We'll start with the nightmare. Then we'll get into the three crucial phases of any good meeting. What you do before it starts, how you manage the room during, and, this is a big one, the follow-up after. And then we'll see what that beautiful clarity looks like at the end. All right, now we get to where the real magic happens. If you take one thing away from all of this, let it be this. Great meetings are won or lost long before anyone even sets foot in the room. It is all about the power of the pre-work. This is the core framework. It's that simple. To get to that ideal meeting, you have to nail these three parts. Think of it like a life cycle, right? There's a before, a during, and an after. Get these three right, and I promise you, your meetings will be transformed. Before you send that calendar invite, before you book that room, you have to ask yourself this one brutally honest question. It's the ultimate time saver. So many meetings are just a habit, not a necessity. Being really disciplined about this question is your number one defense against wasting everybody's time. This right here, this should be your mantra. Say it with me. Never plan a meeting whose goals can be met with an email. If you're just sharing an update that doesn't need discussion, send an email. A meeting is for interaction, for debate, for making decisions. And look, if you want people to actually read the prep work, you can't just read it to them in the meeting. That just trains them not to bother preparing next time. So, you've decided you actually need a meeting. Great. Step 2 is to define your objective. And I don't mean a vague topic, I mean a sharp, actionable goal. This little sentence starter, at the close of the meeting I want the group to, is an amazing tool. It forces you to think about the outcome, which then shapes the entire agenda. This completely reframes what an agenda is. It's not just a shopping list of topics, it's a strategic plan. You've got to think about who needs to be there, what results you're aiming for, the logical flow of the conversation, and maybe most importantly, how much time you're giving to each part. This is your roadmap for success. Okay, you did your pre-work. The plan is solid. Now, it's game time. This part is all about execution, how you actively manage the meeting in real time to keep it focused, productive, and on track. Time boxing. This is absolutely non-negotiable. And this is a perfect example of how to budget that time. Notice the biggest chunk, a full 60%, is for strategic discussion, the real meat of the meeting. Routine stuff gets handled quickly in what's called a consent calendar. This structure forces you to focus on what actually matters. You know, a meeting without clear roles is like a ship without a rudder. It just drifts. You need a chairperson, a captain, to steer the conversation and keep an eye on the clock. You need a secretary, a navigator, to capture what was decided and who's doing what. When everyone knows their job, the whole thing just runs so much smoother. This seems so basic, but you'd be amazed how often it's ignored. You have to set some ground rules. And the biggest offender these days? Technology. A phone buzzing on the table is just as distracting as one that's ringing out loud. A simple rule like phones away and off the table sends a powerful message. We're all here and we're all focused. So what do you do when someone brings up a fantastic idea, but it's totally off topic? You don't want to shut them down, but you can't let it derail the whole meeting. The parking lot is the perfect tool for this. You just say, that's a great point. You write it down on a whiteboard or a notepad called the parking lot, and you promise to come back to it. It respects the person, the idea, and the agenda. Now listen, this is so important. The meeting is not over when everyone walks out of the room. In a lot of ways, the most important work is just getting started. This is all about turning decisions into action. It's the art of the follow-up. Ambiguity is the enemy of progress, and the antidote is crystal clarity. Every single action item that comes out of a meeting needs 3 things: the action, a specific owner, and a clear due date. There should be zero confusion about who is doing what and by when. And getting those minutes out with a table like this within 48 hours is key to keeping the momentum going. Okay, here's a really powerful piece of wisdom from a place you might not expect. This phrase, Vayar Elohim ki tov, comes from the story of creation in Genesis. It translates to, "And God saw that it was good." And it points to a critical step we almost always skip: evaluation. Just like the story describes pausing to reflect on the work, we need to pause after our meetings and ask, how do we do? What could we do better next time? That feedback loop is how you get better. When you're following up with someone about their action item, how you ask is everything. "Hey, how's it going?" is pretty useless. It's too generic. Instead, try asking specific, supportive questions like, "What can I do to be helpful?" Or, "Is there anything holding you back from getting this done?" It shows you're a partner in their success, not just a nagging boss. And so, that brings us to the payoff. After you've done the pre-work, you've mastered the room, and you've nailed the follow-up, what do you get? You get that beautiful move from chaos to genuine clarity. And this is why we do it. All this structure isn't about being bureaucratic. It's about being free. It cuts down on the mental energy you waste trying to follow a disorganized conversation. It speeds up decisions. It gets rid of all that friction that comes from confusion. But most of all, it shows profound respect for the single most valuable thing everyone has: their time. So as we wrap this up, I'm going to leave you with this one question. You don't have to fix everything all at once. Just pick one thing. Are you going to write a clear objective for your next meeting? Will you try time boxing the agenda? Are you going to set up a parking lot? Just think about that one small change you can make to start your own journey from chaos to clarity. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.